Hello there. Once again, it's Anton from Anton Will Bay. And you would have no idea how hard it is to pick out your top favorite 100 action figures. I had no idea how hard it would be. This is probably why I don't see that many of them on YouTube. I haven't actually found many. But I have a huge collection, and I just wanted to pick out my favorite 100. It was originally going to be 50, but couldn't get it done. And I just thought I would run through them real quick. Some of these make sense. Some of these don't really make sense. They're just what made the list. And some of them are new, some are old. It doesn't mean I love the character. It just means it's some combination of love of the character and love of the figure itself and how it was built. So let's get into it. We'll start with some older stuff. Star Trek, Deanna Troi. I have like 15 of these. This is just a figure I fell in love with, just the way it was made. I got a bunch of them. Otis here because I'm not a huge Otis fan. He is funny as shit though. But just a big fat chunky figure I really like. And this one I found has spent a lot of time in my hand since I got it. Just messing with it. Selphie. This is a Play Arts Selphie from Final Fantasy VIII. One of my favorite Final Fantasy games of all time. She's a gorgeous figure. And some of the later Play Arts Kai stuff was too many joints and a little bit wonky. And this was just Play Arts, and they made really great figures. From my childhood, it has to be Bebop from the Ninja Turtles. He was easily my favorite figure back in the day. And he still reappears on this list several times. The Rodent, because I loved Dick Tracy when I was growing up. And the first figure I bought was a Rodent figure from the line because I loved derbies and I loved the purple suit. And I mean, it is what it is. These are in no order, by the way. Chitara, because this is a figure I cried when I got it. I tried to get this thing for so long and I could never find one as a kid. Finally had to buy one off of eBay. 5-10 years ago. Fortnite's McFarlane's Cuddle Team Leader. More recent figure, but I saw this at Walmart a couple Christmases ago, and this is what got me started playing Fortnite. Because I loved this character design. I loved this Rainbow Bash Harvester thing. I just loved it, and that's what got me into the game. And I've been playing it for ever since, so obviously that's why I still got it. Off of the peripheral view here on the table, we've got Strong Guy. He's also very new, but this is a figure I wanted forever. So the fact that I finally got one, I was very happy with. Another Bath that's just slightly off the side on the table. Man Thing, because I love these type of characters. Swamp Thing, the Heap, Man Thing. I think there was one other one. But I've always loved the big swamp monster creature. And they did this one really well. So yeah, that one totally is on my list. This gal from Scorpion King. I just love Egyptian type stuff. And I thought this figure was gorgeous. It really is. And it's not a Marvel Legends or anything like that. And it has amazing articulation for what it is. And it's not articulated like most other figures that you'd come across. It was completely designed differently. That, and she's very pretty. So, she was easy to pull on my top 100. This one is dumb. I love Ghostbusters. I wasn't crazy about this line, but I was crazy about this figure. It wasn't impressive until I got it in hand, and I just really liked it. I can't, bare legs, bare feet, whatever. I don't know. It was just a figure that, gosh, the more I kept digging through my thousands and thousands of figures, it just kept popping up. Some of these do. Reminds me of my years when comic book movies were new, and I absolutely love Amanda Andress. And she rocked this red one so amazingly in the film. This is not my original one. The original one had like a chrome finish dress that was shinier, but she has faded significantly with the sun, and this is a second release that I got. Black Cat, because this is Marvel Legends back when they were using the Moonstone body mold, and the women were much curvier, much thicker, much more plastic, and I thought it really, really went well. And I don't know why they've moved to the skinnier body style, but I love this Black Cat. I know she's kind of a peg warmer in some places. Okay, so Titus here I have no knowledge of the character at all. I don't even care. He was a Build-A-Figure, but essentially he's a giant cat man with a gun for an arm. And I kind of love characters with guns for an arm, and I love giant characters, and I love cat people. So, yeah, he made the list. Keep in mind I have like thousands of figures, so this took a long time, and some of these from one episode of Ninja Turtles, you had Rhino Man and his trusty sidekick Mighty Hog. And these are figures I hunted forever to get. They're in pretty good shape, and I absolutely love them. They're some of my favorites from the original Ninja Turtle line. Definitely in my list. Party Girl Stephanie McMahon. This is the variant where they did not paint underpants on her. But I've always been a big fan of Stephanie when she was young. She was very pretty and very innocent. And I'm not near as big a fan of evil, bitchy Stephanie. So I was always a fan of that figure. Jubilee, because once again, it's a well done Marvel Legends that I waited forever for. I wanted this thing for like 10 years, and they finally made one. And they did a good job on it. Not every figure I waited 10 years for did they do a good job on. Some of them really sucked. This is a Motu Classics. This is from the later series of He-Man. This is Mara of Primus. I love teal, so I tend to gravitate towards figures that wear teal, and this figure just really felt great. If you've never held one of these or messed with it, they're not the most articulated thing in the world, but they just feel really good. Just off camera there, this is Tusk. This is an old Toy Biz X-Men figure, and yeah, it's only got 4 points of articulation, but he's got another guy that pops out of the top of him, and something about this figure has always struck me as being really cool, so I have had him in my collection for ages and just always really liked him. Slightly off camera there, we have a Marvel Select Rhino. I prefer him over the Marvel Legends Rhino, plus I can't afford one of those. And this guy is just massive and awesome, and the detail work on him is awesome. Still not as posable as a Marvel Legends, but an absolutely gorgeous figure and very well done. And you can get him, I got him for like 20 bucks, so. As I got into Motu Classics, I fell in love with this character. This is Captain Glenn. This is an American astronaut who gets lost in space and finds Eternia, and I believe it is He-Man's mother. Yeah. So like this is his mother before she was Queen, whatever her name was, Marlena. And this figure was great. It has a space helmet that goes with it, but I wanted to show her face and stuff. And just a fantastic figure with really cool history and a story. Oops. Spider Hulk. Because it's freaking Spider Hulk. That's why it's on the list. Motu Classics He-Man. Didn't think I was ever going to be able to afford one. And I got one in a couple of trades and was super excited with it. I didn't have many Masters of the Universe figures when I was little. So for me to get one now that's like this amazing, definitely made the top 100. Spider-Gwen, because I think Spider-Gwen was one of the first Marvel Legends that came out that I was at the store all the time waiting for. And kept checking on and drove around to different towns. I think this was one of the first ones I really did that with. And it's a very well done figure, and it definitely made my list. Princess Drossel from Fireball. This figure is partially metal. Actually, it's mostly die-cast metal, but super articulated and a really quirky Japanese / Disney release there, and just a beautifully done Strange figure. And because I love the vintage Bebop, I of course love the updated Bebop. This is Playmates Toys Bebop. The NECA Bebop looks great, but it is not on my list because it's just too damn gummy, and everything about it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. So it's gonna have to age on the shelf for a while before I probably ever warm up to it like I have that one. Just off camera, we've got John Tenna, just Earthquake. I love big chunky boy action figures, and I was also a fan of Earthquake in his wrestling days, even back when he was on the cartoon. So this was definitely a figure that made my list. Recent release, I'm not even a Daredevil fan, but this figure just feels so good in hand and is so well, I don't know, something about it just nails it. Color scheme, something. I couldn't not put him on the list. I know he's pretty recent, but God, I love him. I think this is DC, not Icons. Maybe it is Icons. DC Icons Supergirl. I've got a lot of Supergirls, like probably like 10 different versions of her, and this is by far my favorite one. Just they captured her. She's not trying to look like anybody else, and you know, she's not Melissa Benoist. She's not any of the variants. She's like a classic look Supergirl, and I really love this figure. AJ Lee, because this is the first wrestling, well, one of the first wrestling figures I ever bought, just because I liked the character, just the look of her, and yeah. You gotta love AJ Lee. She's like a comic collector and stuff. Just off camera there on the table. This Modern Mystique, this was another figure that we didn't think we were gonna get ever. And then Legends gave us one, and it's really good. And what's not to like? I would also say, and for the same similar reasons, I also love this Gozer figure. Like, love it. Like, I can't stop posing it. I think it's the uniform color and the fact that it's textured all over. Very similar to Mystique, I think, is why I love it so much, because it's just got this weird like texture all over it. It's cool. It's like I've posed it more than most stuff. This is a DC Icons Cheetah. I have a lot of different Cheetah figures, basically all I can get, but this is by far the most beautiful one. I'm just a little hesitant because of her fragileness, but it is what it is. Trying to remember this guy's name. Ular. I couldn't even explain why I think he's so cool. I like him better than my He-Man figure. He fits every barbarian stereotype, and he's not He-Man, so he can be anybody, and I've always appreciated that about that figure. I cannot even remember this character's name. I know it's from Overwatch, but it has spent more time being posed and messed with. Picked this up for $5 at Ross, and I just love it. It's so vastly odd and different, and yet it's well engineered. It feels great in hand. I mean, to like pose. It made the list. Couldn't not make the list. I love She-Hulk. I love a big, strong, beefy Amazon woman, and this is probably the best She-Hulk figure. I guess this is the Hulk figure that they've probably made. If they ever make this in a green variant, I will be over the moon. China, WWE Elite China, because once again, this is a character I waited for forever. Forever. Never thought we were going to get one, finally got one, and they did a damn good job on it. Space Ghost figure, because shit, it's Space Ghost. Hell yeah. Bossk, because he's always been one of my favorite Star Wars characters for some reason, and the Black Series version of Bossk was just nailed it. It was really good. Can't hold any weapons, but still was great. Stepford Cuckoos was, when they first came out, was about the time I quit reading comics. But they were characters I was definitely like, oh man, we'll never get figures of them. And then we finally got them. And even though I had to buy them from scalpers and do all that bullshit, still, she counts as all three because they're all the exact same figure. I love Sakura, and this Soda Sakura, damn nice. Very posable, Marvel Legends-esque posability. And in a slightly more fragile sense, I have a SH Figuarts Sakura that just looks infinitely more gorgeous than the other one. But I don't know, you don't really like pose and do it as much with a Play Arts or a Figuarts because you don't want to break them, and I don't know, you know how it is. Something to be said about messing around with a $10 figure as opposed to a $60 figure or some shit. So this is DC's Elastigirl. This is a figure that I picked up when I was on the hunt for DC's Giganta back there. She was much more affordable than Giganta, but like I said, I love a big, tall Amazon type gal. I wanted an Iron Man because I do love Iron Man figures. And I was trying to decide which Iron Man figure do I like the best. And honestly, this one with these big gears on his shoulder, that sold it. This is Iron Man 2020. It's pretty close to classic, but it's got some more flares on it that really put it over the top for me. Alexa Bliss, because it's freaking Alexa Bliss. This is one of the best Alexa Bliss figures made, in my opinion. This is in her Harley Quinn cosplay thing, and just love it. Fantastic piece there. Why is Greedo on this list? Well, because of all the figures, Greedo looks the most like he's from 1977. Any other figure you can stick in any other world, but let's face it, Greedo and Greedo's design, even in a futuristic world, could only exist in 1977, or only be born in 1977. And other than that, the figure is extremely well done. I love bounty hunters, and even though Greedo sucks, his figure is probably one of the best. This is DC Bombshell's Katana, an extremely beautiful figure. I mean, look at how beautiful this figure is, but is extremely fragile. I've had to buy two because one just snapped, and even though she's been patched, I still wanted another one that wasn't broken. But that is what it is when it comes to some of those DC figures. This is an SH Figuarts Gods Among Us Harley Quinn. It's obvious why this is in my top 100. It's a fantastic figure, beautiful articulation. The only thing that gets me with these higher end figures is they pull apart sometimes, and that wigs me out. And I wish they were more solid, like Jessica Drew Spider-Woman here. Marvel Legends, give them all the flack you want, but they killed it with this, and they make a solid figure. I've had one Marvel Legends break in the hundreds and hundreds of Marvel Legends I've had. Another expensive import. I cannot even remember this little thick girl's name. She's a little robot. She's super voluptuous, but just a figure that I saw, wanted, and had to spend quite a good deal to get. It's from the Polinian brand. Wolf Bronski from Exo Squad. Always my favorite character from Exo Squad. Just his big barrels on the side of the thing. I just always loved this thing growing up. It was super awesome. Motu Classics Angela, just because I love winged figures, and they do her wings probably better than most, and she has this cool angel look to her, and who doesn't want a cool angel figure? I have quite a few different angel type figures. Why is Enzo Amore on this list? Well, he was popular at the time, or he had just gotten fired or whatever, and I found this, and I was amazed how detailed it is, how good the work is. Yes, he's an obnoxious asshole, but this figure is done so good. If you need an obnoxious asshole figure, this is perfect. In the extremely fragile and imported type way. I saw this at a Hastings Entertainment store ages ago. This is Tosoka Rin from Fate Stay Night. Or no. Yeah, Fate Stay Night. Had to read the plaque. And I just thought it was a beautiful figure. I've never seen the show. I know she's a vampire hunter. And it was a figure that I got on discount just based on how beautiful it is. And it's been one of the most beautiful figures I've had for a long time. I love me a good 5 POA every now and then. And Hannah Dundee has been one of my favorites forever. So she had to definitely be in the top 100. As did, fall over cowboy, as did Mona Lisa. This is a figure I hunted for when I was very little. I was a young teenager looking for this figure and could never find it. And eventually had to pay $50 to get this thing. New in the package from a collectible shop. And I told the guy I was going to open it. He's like, well, you better not do it in here. And it's just been one of those. It's got the rubbery legs and arms. They give it an extra feel of movement. I love it. Super, super grail piece for me. This is Overwatch McCready. Like I said, I don't play the game, don't care. But this is probably one of the coolest cowboy figures I've ever gotten. And he's well done, well articulated, well sculpted, but like over exaggerated in places. I just think it's great. I really do. And for $5, this guy made it onto my top 100. Couldn't believe it. Anne O'Brien is a figure I found in a bargain bin. I didn't even know she was a legend for a long time, but she's very tall. I love shoes. I love Converse shoes. So anytime I see a figure with Converse shoes, I always gravitate towards it. But big, tall, muscular redhead. I was like, that's a beautiful figure. This is McFarlane's. No, this is not McFarlane's. This is Jazzware's Beef Boss. I see Robo on the Fwoosh loves this guy, and I don't blame him. But I play Fortnite, and this is a great skin, and it's a great figure, and it's just so much fun. It had to be in my list. As did McFarlane Scully, which was, I want to say, one of the first skins I ever bought. Just a cool looking skin. And they finally made a figure of her. And you can just see, it's a beautifully done figure. And I love Fortnite, so what can I say? She's on the list. Can't remember this guy's name, but he's from the Motu Classics line. He's like their Conan ripoff guy. But he also is just a beautiful Conan figure. His name isn't Conan, but for all extensive purposes, he's Conan. And a beautifully done Conan. This is another one that I never would have picked out for myself, but I found him like loose in a bin and actually got to handle it. And that's what got me started on DC Universe Classics. Just because it's just feeling it in hand. It's a beautiful feeling figure, and it really feels great. So had to be on my list. The guy wouldn't even sell it to me. I had to buy my own later, but I love She-Hulk. So obviously this is probably one of the best She-Hulks. I'm not sure if this is Hasbro or Toy Biz, but easily one of the best She-Hulk figures they've made. I wish they made that other one in green, but they didn't. This is Motu Classics Adora. I loved her uniform, and I always watched a lot of She-Ra growing up, so it was a combination of perfect figure, perfect character. Jackalman was always my favorite of the evil mutants from Thundercats, and the fact that he was one of the only ones I could afford just made him love me more. So he's definitely one I had to pick up and made my 100. This lady right here, this is Storm Collectibles Chun-Li. Very pricey piece, but also very beautifully done, very worth it, and just I mean, you can see why she made the list. My wife found me this one. This is Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy Advent Children. Tifa, one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters, even though I'm not a big 7 fan. Had to get that to go with my original Tifa Lockhart. And these are both Play Arts figures, but easy in my top 100, probably in my top 10. She's probably in my top 1. If you've never played with this line, you should really pick it up and check it out sometime. This one is the one that got me started. It just looks so great. Lord Draken, evil Power Ranger guy, and just an amazingly good feeling figure in your hands. This is a rather inexpensive figure. This is a DC Multiverse Harley Quinn on their last run that they were making stuff. A sucker for Converse shoes. Just the casual nature of the figure, the look of it, made me really, really love it. So she made the 100. Conk here has always been one of my favorite figures. I love a little chunky guy. For a 5 POA, for him to be on here, gives you an idea of how much I appreciate that figure. Marvel Legends Thing, because look at it. The sculpt, the design, everything about that thing is astounding for what it is. WWE Elite Liv Morgan, because I mean, I love the character. The paintwork on it's amazing, and I had to spend a bunch to get it, but what a great figure. Marvel Legends Rogue, the Juggernaut Wave Rogue, beautiful, beautiful figure. Commands an extremely high price now. I was lucky enough to get her at retail, and after 3 or 4 hideously deformed rogues that we got in the past, we were very excited to get one that wasn't. NECA Ninja Turtles. Mikey is standing in for all 4 of his brothers because they all occupy one spot. It's my rules. But he is a beautifully done figure. You can't deny it. NECA sucks. Their shit's breakable, but how can you not want to own that? Blink is another Marvel Legends that they did quite well, but it's a character that I waited for like 15 years or so for them to make it because I wanted one so badly for so long. Painkiller Jane, simple 5 POA of an indie comic done right. Cheap figure to get and absolute joy to own. I've got a whole bunch of Marvel Legends Enchantresses because for some reason I'm just drawn to it. The look on her face, the sculpt, it's a beautifully done figure. Beautiful. Betty Page figure, because not only is it a rare, weird figure, it's freaking Betty Page, and it's in Egyptian. Motu Classic Skeletor, because it's freaking Skeletor, and to have a Skeletor this well done, for me, he beats out the original, the vintage. This is like a brand new figure, but it's one that I've been waiting for about 2 years, and they did not disappoint. It's just perfectly done. I love this thing. Marvel Select Juggernaut, because it's the best Juggernaut, hands down. Not a doll collector, don't want to be a doll collector, but this Mystique doll called to me from the store, had to buy it. And she is so gorgeous on the shelf. She had to make the top 100. I think it's DC Icons, or I can't remember. But it's a huge freaking figure. Armored Batman figure. I bought it ages ago and absolutely have never stopped loving it. Shadow Weaver, because I wanted Shadow Weaver when I was little. I used to love Shadow Weaver. I still love her. And had to wait forever for him to finally make one I could afford. Pre-ordered it, waited for like a year and a half. All the usual typical Super 7 bullshit, but they ended up making an absolutely astounding figure that infinitely pleased with. The Pit Build-A-Figure, because it's everyone's grail, isn't it? It's just so damn big, so damn cool. Perfection. Final Fantasy, I think this was 13, or no, 14, 15? I don't know, whatever game it was, sucked. I hated the game. I didn't like this character. She was super annoying. Vanille. But I did pick up her figure for about 10 bucks in a bin somewhere. And it is a strikingly gorgeous figure. I've always appreciated it. Its color palette, it's got some odd wonky knees. That's from Play Arts Kai. But it's still, couldn't not have her on the list because it's just a figure I absolutely love. Play Arts Kai done right would be this Sakura. A thing of absolute beauty. The only thing I don't like about imports and stuff like that is they do come apart and fall apart, and Converse shoes. My favorite DC Build-A-Figure of all time, maybe even one of my favorite Build-A-Figures of all time, is the Anti-Monitor here. He's shiny, he's big, he's weird. Very 60s sci-fi looking. I love this thing. He's in the top 10 if anything is. Of course, DC's Giganta. This could be one of my favorite figures of all time as well. Well, no, I have to like her more than him because this thing was so hard to find and cost so much money. Easily one of my more valuable figures I own. One of my favorites, and one of the hardest ones to get. This guy, Abomination, Marvel Select. Obviously something, a big, heavy, chunky boy, but just something you had to get, you have to feel it to appreciate it. This guy weighs like probably 5 pounds of solid plastic, and the work on him is done amazingly. So he is easy in my top 100. And Solomon Grundy here, he's a big, monstrous dude. He just appeared in a video recently. And that reminded me, that's what made me kind of want to like remember to do my top 100. Just the size of this guy and everything is just so over the top. And then McFarlane's Harley Quinn. She would be on the tail end of this list by any means. But I do love Harley, and I do think this is one of the better Harleys done. She is a pain to get standing, which is why she was sitting up there. But a beautifully rendered figure that is not very much money. And then lastly, I don't even know if you can see him up there, but we have Omega Supreme. And this was one of my favorite giant Transformers growing up, and I could never afford one, and the little old ones were not very good looking. And I finally picked up this one, and he is just so damn cool. He is freaking huge. And I wish I could review him, but I've only got one hand, so an absolutely beautifully done figure. And that pretty much does it. That is my top 100. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, go make a top 100. I would love to watch somebody else's top 100 action figure list. So anyway, that's my story. Catch you guys later. Bye.